Hey everyone, thanks for joining me today. So for those of you that don't know me, my name, well, you will know me because you're friends with me, but if this has been passed to you, my name's Cherie Joy, and I'm a psychologist, psychotherapist, counsellor, and I really wanted to start a live stream called Direct Joy, which is free and gives you an opportunity to join me once a week to answer anything to do with a mental health or emotional well-being query or question, or anything that's kind of going on that you think, do you know what, I'd really like a little bit of a bolster this week to find out and start to explore a little bit more, or I've always had this question, and you can send your questions to me in advance and just let me know kind of what's going on and what queries you have. Anything to do with mental and emotional health, you get kind of a direct line into Cherie, direct line into me to find out a little bit more about what your queries are. So send your queries in advance, or you can ask them here. If we have time here, I'll answer them here. So it's very much kind of take me as I am with those questions. But today I do have two things prepared, so two questions in advance. And the first one is around rest. So I'm regularly found to say to people, rest. Need to get more rest. Rest. And, we give out the advice that we need to receive the most ourselves. So resting, what is it about resting? We know why it's important. We sleep for an enormous amount, really, and everybody sleeps. That's what happens. That's what we need to do. But what is rest? Because rest is more than just sleeping. It's not just about sleep. It's about a nurturing of our soul. And what does that give our mental and emotional health? Well, we know what it doesn't give our emotional and especially our mental health. When we don't rest, we really suffer. We really can get in such a tangle. So what is it about resting, and why do we find it so challenging to stop and to be still and to find that restful place? So when I suggest get more rest, when that's something that comes up in the work that I do with people, or the advice that I give out, or the suggestions, or that comes into play, it's not about the fact of doing something. It's not, resting is really helpful to actually do something to rest. But actually there's something about the real vital thing of the absence of doing, the presence of being. And what is it like to actually offer yourself, your body, your mind, your feelings, that place of actually properly resting, properly dropping into a place where you can offer yourself that rest. Now, it can start with the process of doing something. So going out into nature, having a bath, doing a sport that you enjoy, having a facial, having a special meal, having special time with people around you. But it can actually then hopefully lead to a place where you can look and you can feel and you can create a zone that's especially for you. And when you do that, you find a balance comes in, and it dependent on who you are, it can start with your mind and you can feel a very much of a settled place, or it can be in your stomach and you can find that your stomach starts to set a little bit more. But you do find that you come into alignment a bit more, and with that alignment you can then bring to your life decisions where your head is involved and your heart is involved and your whole body is engaged in that kind of process of being able to properly release into the world the version of you that you want to be, the version of you that you want to engage with. So it really does help you to find that fine-tuning of balance of work, rest and play. But finding rest. Hi Athena, thanks for the likes everyone. It's great to see so many of you here. So yeah, wonderful. Thank you for joining me. Happy lunchtime. So that kind of brings us into another thing, lunchtime. Okay, what do we do with the time that's allocated for rest? And a lot of the time you will find when you go into that observation mode of looking and feeling and creating, because you need to go into observation mode first. You need to go into that stop, look and listen. It's a bit like crossing the road. And as any parent knows, when you're teaching your child to stop, look and listen, it's hard work. Like the most simplest thing that it appears to be really simple. It's like, why have you not stopped? Why are you not looking? Why are we not listening? And we do that with our bodies. We do that with our mind. We do that with our work. We do that with our play even. Stopping, looking and listening. It's really, really important. And when we do that, what we find is that sometimes we're actually keeping other people happy and we're doing it for them. Do you come first in resting? Do you come first in what you do and what you're offering to yourself and your world? Is the priority to think about what you need and what you would like and how you would like it to be. That has many different layers, and that's where therapy can be really helpful, but also just exploring. So journal it out, meditate in it, pray on it, walk it out when you're walking, run it out if you're a runner, kick it out if you're a footballer, and listen to your loud music, scream it out quietly, scream it out loudly. Do what you need to do to explore those layers, because feelings come up, thoughts come up, past memories comes up, and that's then where we find the locked in places. So one of the other questions that actually I wasn't going to explore today, but I will because it's come up, is that sense of, what is it about mental health? How can our mental health actually encompass so much more than just the mental? How can it also be about the physical, the emotional, and also just generally our health? So we find that we get achy shoulders or migraines or a backache or a leg ache, or even we find that we're locked in and we have this kind of arthritic type pain, even though the doctor would say, no, there's no way that's that. These unexplainable pains that we get, what's actually going on with them? And they are emotional, and they can come out in tears and anger and depression and anxiety and paranoia, but also they're physical, and they come out in the physical pains, in the constipation, in the diarrhea, in the IBS. In the unexplainable stuff that happens, in the hormonal outbursts that we can all have, in the times where we think, well, why do I just feel muzzy-headed today? And actually our mental health or emotional well-being is tied into all of this. So really going back to the stillness, the still place of observing who we are, what we want to offer, the choices that we make, the boundaries that we have and don't have in place, being gentle with those, feeling into them, and taking the time to really be who we are, which is interesting. My niece's name is B, and that just came to me, that sense of being. She is such a force, such a being, and all of my family are such joys. They're joys to be with. We bring joy, and this is really what I want to offer you in this direct joy every week, is this bringer of joy, this sense of actually how can we get more joy. And it is very much my life's work is to get more joy, and there are layers to go through in our mental life. Mental health is a serious issue. Okay, depression, anxiety, paranoia, you can't just bring joy to it. You can't just smother it in this sense of a blanket of joy. You need to actually work with it. You need to get down and dirty with it. It's a bit like if you've got a vegetable patch and it hasn't been tended for. You need to get the roots out, the old stuff that you don't want there. And a weed is the existence of anything that you don't want there. And you want it to flower and bloom in the way that you want it to flower and bloom. And doing that work, going to those places, observing and really feeling into your life is beautiful. And that's what we're here to do, isn't it? Is live life to the fullest, and hopefully have layers of peace and joy and brilliance and delight within that. So finding that optimal place of rest is what I mean when I say get some rest. It's not just have a bath and a glass of wine. So I hope that helps with rest. One of the other things that I get asked so many times, especially at the beginning of therapy, is about approaches to therapy. So counselling especially, there are so many approaches to counselling. There are so many ways you can do it. And it really is a kind of making sure that it's right for you. There is CBT, which we've heard of, and the NHS is very, puts a lot of money behind it, and a lot of research has gone into CBT. And CBT is cognitive behavioural therapy, and it works with the mind. And I think CBT is fantastic. It's not something I practice all the time, and it's not something I practice with everybody, but it works for me. It did work for me, I should say. So sorry, that was a kind of weird wink there, because I can't wink. CBT really worked for me when I gave up smoking. So I had a stinky, terrible, long-standing smoking problem. But CBT, done, out the window. And I was like, whoa, that really works. But I'm interested to say that I still crave cigarettes, like even now. So I gave up at 23, I'm now 40. I still crave cigarettes. What's that about? The brain works really well with CBT. Puts it in filing cabinets, allows you to process it, allows you to distract, gives you a toolkit to use your brain to overcome. And it overcomes a lot of things and can do, and it can really work for you. Doesn't help so much with relationships with things, so not necessarily the relationship with habit, not necessarily the relationship with other people, not necessarily the relationship with having a fag on your fag break. Just using that as an example. Whereas something like transactional analysis, TA, is really helpful to think about the relationships that you have. So if you're having some ups and downs with relationships and you're seeing some patterns occurring, you can, and you know that might have come from your childhood, you can do a short piece of work with TA and you can move forward in that way. Hypnotherapy, really good at working with the unconscious, really good for things like if you want to stop eating chocolate, or you really want to delve into your kind of anxiety that's happening in your sleep. So potentially, but then you can't do any dream work necessarily with hypnotherapy. So there's kind of limits. Every type of therapy will help you to make changes, but the most important thing is about feeling comfortable with where you're at. Because although this is challenging work, you really, really need to be in a place where you can make those decisions informed by what feels challenging yet possible. So one of the things that I do is I try to think about all the different approaches and put together a holistic, tailor-made process. And that involves a little bit longer work and a little bit deeper work, and goes to those layers of the places which you wouldn't really expect to. So, and most psychotherapists do this. So the idea being that you pull into being lots of different ideas that have lots of different manifestations in your life. And those manifestations are not necessarily problems. So you're not coming every week and going, oh, I've got a problem. And you're not down in the, but you're bringing what's real. You're bringing what's real in your body. You're bringing what's real in your mind. You're bringing what's real in your heart. You're bringing what's real in your relationships. And this is where it's really important to think about the limitations. Now, that might be limited to you because actually you don't want to think about that. You don't want to pull those ideas together. You just want to stop smoking, like I did, and I did it. But then it might be about then doing the deeper work, then doing the deeper dives, and then it's much like learning a sport. You just you learn that from a beginner, then you do the level 1, your level 2, then you do intermediate, then you start mastering it. And I suppose that's why I'm really passionate about the kind of therapy that I do and the kind of work that I do, and taking that holistic approach, because it feels really like something where, okay, yeah, that's the kind of life that we want to lead. That's the kind of thing that we really want to do. And yeah, I suppose it's about working out how many challenges you want and where you want to face them and what you want to do. And that's also why I think this weekly session of having the opportunity for you to have that direct joy is really important, because you might not want therapy. You might not want Joy to Jaded package. You might not be going through some of the stuff that I talk about in my other posts, but you may just want to go, oh yeah, I have that question, because actually that's what life's about, isn't it? It's not about holding ourselves back, it's about pulling ourselves forward. And as we pull ourselves forward, if I can be on that journey with you and answer those questions about your emotional and mental well-being, that's what I want to do. So yeah, I hope that was helpful. I thought that I would be able to see comments and likes and things, but I've only seen a few. So, but I know there's loads of people watching because I can see the number in the top of my screen. So hi everybody. If you have put a comment in there and there is stuff for me to share, I will come back and do a video. This replay will be available, so I'm going to put it up on YouTube, on Facebook, I think IGTV. I'm getting used to all of that stuff with the help of a wonderful team behind me. The other thing to mention is that if you do like the idea of working with me, but I'm getting more like some faces of familiar and unfamiliar faces. So hi everyone, lovely to see you. If you like the idea of doing therapy, but you know me and you think, I don't really want to work with Cherie. I know Cherie from whatever, and we're friends or we're colleagues, or it just doesn't feel right. I do have colleagues that are just wonderful and behind me and with me and alongside me. So if it doesn't feel right to work with me personally, that's more than cool. And this is about sharing the love and spreading the love of what therapy can offer you. And it doesn't mean you need to do a massive long journey, but I can put you in touch with people that can help. And if you've got any ideas of what you'd like to hear here, I would love to hear from you. My website is brand spanking and pretty cool, I think. I didn't do most of it. My wonderful designer from Lightly Sorted, Ollie, did. So check it out. If you subscribe to my website, you get an exclusive video every month and an e-calendar. That video isn't seen anywhere else, so please subscribe. It's www.cjoy.co.uk. I'll put the link in the comments. And that's all from me today. It was lovely to see you all. Very strange not to interact. But yeah, I can embrace my narcissistic side. That's fine. So on that note, I look forward to seeing you next week, Tuesday at 12. And take really good care. And enjoy the sunshine, because apparently it's going to end tomorrow. But then it'll be back again because it's spring and that's what we love. Okay. Blessings and love to you all. And I will see you next week, if not before. Take care.